let's talk recruiting because
okay,
things are picking up. Nebraska had a big weekend, but let's get to the quarterback news first. TJ Lateef commits over the weekend, and this is big because they really only courted one quarterback hard. I mean, there was a period where Alex Mansky was the guy, but the minute Dylan Raiola jumped on board in December, things just kind of went dead with Mansky, and he switched, or he committed to Iowa State, which, you know, Algona, Iowa to Ames is really, you know, close in proximity, so it made a lot of sense. But they began targeting TJ Lateef immediately, and that was the only guy really since December that they've been on hard. They get him on campus for his official visit in April. They lock him up after the spring game here this week. So it was a huge day for this recruiting class because they haven't really gotten a national recruit yet. A lot of local 3-star-ish type guys that typically would always go to Nebraska. Lateef is really the first true national battle, in my opinion, they've won.
Yeah, number 25 quarterback in the On3 industry rating. He visited Colorado, by the way. Colorado, my guess is Prime didn't lay out a plan for development like Rule did. I don't know that Prime lays out plans for development for anybody because it's really, they don't really develop anybody. They just go in the portal and try to get them. Excuse my commentary. This guy, TJ Lateef, also had offers from Auburn, FSU, Georgia, Texas A&M, UCLA. I watched a lot of him. He's a smooth operator. I hate to say it. I mean, don't kill me for this, but his delivery, his follow through reminds me a lot of Dylan Raiola's. And this might be the Mahomes effect on young quarterbacks. Like they look like they're trying to emulate Mahomes to me. But anyway, this TJ Lateef is when I say smooth operator, it's important because he makes it look easy. But Rob, he's a 2-year starter at a powerhouse. I mean, they play great competition.
At the best level in California.
Yeah. And again, he doesn't ever look stressed. Again, reminds me of Dylan in that way. And yeah, I mean, Sean, I was really impressed that Glenn Thomas went and locked down this guy the way he did, especially with what Lateef said, that Nebraska was the most consistent that he felt wanted. But the consistent message is that's a good sign that Nebraska has a consistent message.
So was Thomas the lead on this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Glenn Thomas was the lead recruiter. Now I'm just reading Brian's stuff, Brian Munson. But it was pretty apparent.
Interesting. So this is kind of his first big addition.
That's his job, though. He's the quarterback guy, and you got to get one guy. And I think that's so important every year. You've got to get a quarterback every year, one a year. I mean, last year was a rare year where they got 2, but you have to be prepared for movement every year in that room in the transfer portal.
Oh, yeah.
And you need a quality one every year, and you just don't know where your room's going to go, and they got that guy. Now, this weekend, David Sanders was in town, highest ranked recruit to ever visit Nebraska in the online era on an official visit. And it can't get any higher. He's number 2 overall. I mean, to be a higher
tackle,
left tackle out of Charlotte, North Carolina. But people are like, oh, how do you? I mean, they've never hosted a number 1 overall guy on an official. I mean, Dylan Raiola at one time was number 1 overall. He didn't finish number 1 overall in the industry. And I'm going off of the composite, which we call the industry ranking at On3. So they had a great opportunity. Caleb Benning was a part of the trip this weekend with Damon Benning and his family. So you had them here. And I thought that was big. And then the Raiolas.
Yeah.
So you had and Matt Rule, I think, really thought this through. Like, all right, we're going to have this top-ranked guy here with his family, his grandparents. Let's bring the Bennings down. Let's bring the Raiolas down, and let's try to really create a family atmosphere. And from all reports, things went well on the trip. Now there's a gauntlet of visits to come, though, with Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee that he's going to go on here in Clemson over the next month. Can Nebraska survive that and still be on his mind? That's the question.
It is. I mean, I hate to say it because it's cliche, but there's only one way you're going to make it happen. You got to get him here. So they did it, and you
got to pay him.
You got to pay him. They keep doing it. I mean, Nebraska's bringing in the highest profile recruits they can. The highest profile recruits pretty much available. They're not hitting. They haven't hit yet, but you got to keep trying. And a lot of it now, what if they start 7-0? Then that's when you might start seeing the tide turn a little bit. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say that though, because I don't think they're going to start 7-0, but you never know.
You never know. So I know that there was some response to this visit that people kind of just took it as like, wow, Nebraska got him on campus. That's your win. Like, they're not going to get him. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Nebraska got this caliber of player, the highest in the history of the internet rankings recruit ever on campus, like, that's a win in itself. I mean, do you view this as kind of just like that's kind of where it ends for Nebraska, or is there a real traction here that they're actually going to compete with the best of the best?
You don't know, because he's going to take his other trips. He is high profile enough where he'll call the shots. And can Nebraska be on his mind after these trips? I mean, did they do enough to at least be a thought for him? And look, he's going to go visit everywhere else in the country: Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, Tennessee, and Ohio State.
Rob, here's the distinction you have to make in your mind. Yeah, fans think that way. Oh, good job. Got him on campus. That's all you can do. You're not going to get it.
Cynical, beat down Nebraska fans.
But the coaches and the staff, Rule and his staff, don't have to think that way. They can't think that way. So the fans and the cynics can think one thing that's much different than the people that are actually involved. And I understand where the fans are coming from too. Listen, I understand where they're coming from, because I'm a media person, pretty detached, and I don't roll my eyes at this, but I recognize that this is a long shot. Mm-hmm. You can recognize it's a long shot. Mm-hmm. It's a long shot, but long shots sometimes come in.
Yeah. All right. Start somewhere.
Briefly here, Jamarian Parker, that's the next guy to watch, the 4-star running back out of St. Louis. On3 Steve Wilfong this week, shared his thoughts. He's had an RPM in a recruit prediction on him to Nebraska for several weeks. But that's the one I think we're all watching, that they can close on him at the running back spot. So keep your eyes on that.
Okay. How soon?
I don't know. I mean, these kids will announce kind of when they do it. I mean, here's what usually happens. They get with Hayes Fawcett, and Hayes Fawcett drops an edit on their commitment. I mean, a lot of times these guys don't even give a heads up when they're going to do it. And I've been on the back end of these conversations with Hayes and a prospect on messages, and, they're like, I'll get it to you at 2:00 on Wednesday. And then they announce it at 2:00 on Wednesday. I mean, it just, there is no press conferences and these types of things. It's generally the edit is now kind of the thing to do.
Wow. So Nebraska's got an excellent chance.
I think they do. Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me if you just saw like an edit drop, with his announcement in Nebraska. So in Alabama and TCU have recently offered him. He was once an Arkansas commit.
Oh boy. Interesting.